Welcome to New Connection, where you can tune in and grow. I'm your host, Vicki Thompson. You may be familiar with New Connection magazine for conscious living, which has been enjoyed by readers in the Pacific Northwest for more than 17 years. Now we're excited to bring New Connection to life in your home. On New Connection, we welcome authors, practitioners, and visionaries to share new ideas for alternative health, spirituality, and personal growth. Today, I'd like to welcome to New Connection James Gilliland, who is the founder of SETI, which is a Washington state-based organization that strives to have enlightened contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. Also at SETI, they connect with masters and sages and work with people to develop their inner spiritual growth. James, welcome to New Connection.
Oh, thanks for having me on the show.
Well, when people hear about UFOs, many images come to mind, and they think many different things. So what I'd like to do today is to kind of dispel some myths around UFOs and talk about some of the personal experiences that you've had at SETI and bring them in so people can have a different view of UFOs and extraterrestrials.
It is sad, the view that people have of UFOs. They're actually our ancient ancestors, and they've been around forever. And ever since Roswell, there's been quite a disinformation campaign going and cover-up, and because we have the technology and we don't want others to have the technology, but it's been in all the frescoes, and it's been in all the ancient Vedic scriptures, and it's even in the Bible as well. We've had encounters with UFOs since time began, basically.
So it's listed. Roswell is something I think that comes to mind for a lot of people when they think of it, Area 51, and it's closed off, and we don't hear about it. Is there any truth to that?
There is. I know scientists that worked with a lot of those projects, and Area 51 is mainly a window dressing place. They have the real hardware over in Area 52. And you think about, if Area 51, what about all the other areas before Area 51 and after 51 that they have? And they have these exotic craft there and have been back engineering these things for quite some time.
So you're saying that our government has found spacecraft and that they are using the technology from it?
Definitely. It's pretty undeniable. We've had fieldless energy and anti-gravity and counter-gravity since the 30s. The Germans had it in the 30s, and we've been back engineering it for quite some time after that. So we've had this technology, and it would solve most of our transportation and energy problems on the Earth right now, and we really need to bring this back in. It also dispense with a lot of the pollution and a lot of the other serious problems we're having with the water and the oceans and the rivers and everything else.
To pull that in. It sounds like some people, there have been documented accounts of people who have connected and seen alien spacecraft or UFOs. And someone who has seen that is here in the Pacific Northwest, and it was in the 1940s. 1947, it was Kenneth Arnold.
Yes.
And there's a radio account where he shares what he saw. Can you give us some background before we listen to that clip of what we're about to hear?
I believe it was in 1947, and he saw ships. He was flying from Mount Rainier towards Mount Adams, the Yakima area, and he lost sight of the ships when they landed on the western slopes of Mount Adams, which is our front yard, basically, and that's where we see all the UFO activity. So not only him, but Dr. Jalen Hynek and David Akers, Greg Long, all these major UFO investigators have done work there and registered the tribal police, the forest rangers, regular police, and very top officials are now blowing the lid off all the activity in that area.
So even among the Forest Service there, they've had encounters with...
Oh, yeah, but they can't talk about it with their outfit on. I mean, they have to totally take their ranger suit off and hat and everything else, and then they can talk about it. But
and tell you what they've encountered.
They get in big trouble.
Well, let's take a moment to listen to what Kenneth Arnold encountered in the 1940s.
Great.
And this afternoon, we are honored indeed to have here in our studio this man, Kenneth Arnold, who we believe may be able to give us a first-hand account and give you the same on what happened. Kenneth?
Well, at about 2:15, I took off from Chehalis, Washington, en route to Yakima, and of course every time that any of us fly over the country near Mount Rainier, we spend an hour or two in search of the marine plane that's never been found that they believe is in the snow someplace southwest of that particular area. that area is located at about, its elevation is about 10,000 foot. And I had made one sweep in close to Mount Rainier and down one of the canyons and was dragging it for any types of objects that might prove to be the marine ship. And as I come out of the canyon there, it was about 15 minutes. I was approximately 25 to 28 miles from Mount Rainier. I climbed back up to 9,200 feet, and I noticed to the left of me a chain which looked to me like the tail of a Chinese kite. It was about 1 minute to 3 when I started clocking them on my sweep second-hand clock, and as I kept looking at them, I kept looking for their tails. They didn't have any tails. I thought, well, maybe something's wrong with my eyes, and I turns the plane around and opens the window and looks out the window, and sure enough, I couldn't find any tails on them. And the whole observation of these particular ships didn't last more than about 2.5 minutes, and I could see them only plainly when they seemed to tip their wing or whatever it was, and the sun flashed on them. They looked something like a pie plate that was cut in half with a sort of a convex triangle in the rear. Now, I thought, well, that maybe they're jet planes with just the tails painted green or brown or something, and didn't think too much of it, but kept on watching them. They didn't fly in a conventional formation that's taught in our Army. They seemed to kind of weave in and out right above the mountaintops. And I would say that they even went down into the canyons in several instances, probably 100 feet. The best of my knowledge and the best of my description, that is what I actually saw, and like I told the Associated Press, I'd be glad to confirm it with my hands on a Bible, because I did see it.
So that was really interesting to hear the flavor of that time, those old newscasts where he swears on a Bible that this is real and he's actually heard it. But the thing I find interesting about Kenneth Arnold is that he's just a regular old guy who flies around in his plane, and he just encountered this spacecraft and shared it with the world. And it seems to be that they haven't been able to disprove.
No. To bring it up to date, we've had several thousand people up at the ranch, and eyewitnesses from Air Force base commanders to triple Boeing engineers to who went and testified on the Art Bell show, actually. And we have such documentation of this ongoing activity. We have a mountain of evidence, and so any reasonable mind, once they do their investigation or really look into it, would have to say that these are definitely unknowns. They don't operate or function in anywhere near any realms that we're aware of. You don't have planes that morph into 3 and back to 1 again and make right-angle turns at several thousand miles an hour and cross the entire sky in seconds, going over 750,000 miles an hour plus. So they're definitely not ours, and we have the testimony to back up the video footage that we took as well.
So you are seen as an ambassador to these enlightened beings. How did you become an ambassador? What is your story, and how did you, get involved in this?
It's kind of interesting. I like to be referred to as nobody. I don't like labels,
So you were the nobody here.
Yeah, exactly. But that label kind of got stuck on me. But I was on an intense spiritual journey. I had a near-death experience, and I'd written books, and I was very involved in process-oriented therapy and intersensitivity training and meditation. And I had visions over and over to go and create this center, and I thought I was building this retreat center, which I did. And I thought it was a spiritual retreat center just for, dedicated to the awakening and healing of humanity and the earth. And I had no idea that when we rose to a certain level of consciousness and healed enough of our old wounds and traumas and garbage, and released the past, that we started having contact with these extremely advanced, very spiritually and technologically advanced beings.
And so when you connect with them, is it more through your inner senses, like the third eye or inner seeing, or is it also connected with your physical eyes?
It's all the above. I feel them before they come. I know they're there, and I receive a lot of telepathic messages, and my crown, the top of the head, it feels like you're wearing a beanie cap, because you feel all this energy coming in through the crown. Sometimes you feel pressure on your third eye in that area. And sometimes it feels like you're wearing a helmet or a beanie cap. It's really strange.
So it's not just the intensity of pressure coming into
the energy,
your head.
yeah, the consciousness and energy, because they're extremely advanced beings. And then when the Pleiadians come in, I'll get pulses down the whole left side of my body, which is a feminine, your feminine side. It's a feminine energy working with them. And I've learned just by using my body as an antenna almost to sense which group is in the area and who's there. And it's really, I'll be out in the field and I'll just know where the ships are, and I'll turn around, I'll say they're there, and just a few seconds later they pop in and they're there, and we get them on film. So it's, you know, the best radar you could ever develop is our own consciousness, basically.
And so when you feel that the ships are coming, then you're actually capturing, are they the classic spherical ship that we think about and see?
There are those. Some ships are physical, some ships are pure energy, and some are light ships. And other ships are pure consciousness. And this has been written about in the old Vedic scriptures and things. They give a very clear description of the different types of ships. So it depends on the level of evolution, you might say, of the beings, and how far they've advanced technologically as to what kind of ship they're going to be coming on.
So if they're coming in like a light ship or an energy ship, there are a lot of books on orbs.
Yes.
Is that kind of tied into the whole orbs, which are balls of lights that people are capturing now on camera?
It is. One time they told me that they would be there, and these are extremely advanced beings, you know, millions of years ahead of us. And so I went out to the field, and nothing showed up. But I felt the energy really strong. And so I took 2 or 3 photographs, and I got these beautiful electric blue spheres in the field, which you couldn't see with your eyes. But because the camera picks up more of the visible light spectrum, you know, you can see them. But what's sad is we only see this physical world. They call it Hertzian or whatever, and visible light. We don't even see infrared, which is in between the two, and then we don't see all the other realms above that. So we're very, very limited as to what we can see with our eyes, unless we do our spiritual practices, and then your third eye opens up, and that inner vision opens up, and you can start seeing other dimensions, you might say, that are existing right alongside of ours.
Well, something that there's an image on your website of a Mother Mary fresco. What were you capturing in that image, and what type of experience did you have when you connected in there in that moment?
Is that the pink energy, the beams coming down? And yeah, that was very interesting. They did reverse speech on a lot of these images, and I was talking about, we've had there's quite a few frescoes with Mary and them, Mary praying and a golden ship and a beam coming down. We have those on our website, and you know, there's a very strong connection with the masters of old, and it's all tied in together, as well as the all the major religions. When you take them back to their base root, a lot of them go back to Egypt, believe it or not. You know, all the ancient practices and Qigong and all these practices, they all go back to Egypt, and Egypt goes back to the stars. So you're going back to Atlantis and Lemuria, and then from there the star nations, basically. And the fables of Atlantis and Lemuria were actually colonies. They were colonies of the star nations.
So when you're connecting in with other life forms, you mentioned the Pleiadians.
Yes.
What other beings are you connecting with?
Oh, there's so many different ones. There's some main ones we work with, which are mainly Pleiadians, and then there's an Orion Council of Light. There's Andromedans, Arcturians. There's some really interesting ones that are feline from Sirius, and they're humanoid felines. And when I first experienced one of them, they were extremely loving and very blissful, and it kind of spooked me at first to see a humanoid feline. But I looked up in the ancient history, and I saw they called them Narshringa in the past, and they used to pray to them for protection in India and things like that. And you have Sekhmet, and I think is it Bot or Boff? I can't remember the other one. But there's all these ancient historical accounts of felines, humanoid felines. Even the Hathors are actually feline, humanoid feline beings.
Very interesting to tie into that energy. When you connect with them, sometimes people present that we are them and they are us. Do you think that they are more evolved forms of our consciousness?
You know, ultimately, the one consciousness that encompasses all consciousnesses is within us. And so we're the spark, and when we expand that spark into the full flame, we become one with the one consciousness on all planes and all dimensions throughout the multiverse. So the separation game ends, and so it's really all you. You know, the whole universe is you. Buddha, all the other teachers taught this. But I just see there's different flavors, different aspects, there's no limit to creation, and it's very diverse out there, and I think it's insane to think that we're it, that this little third-dimensional, third rock from the sun is it. When you look at the 200 million stars out there with planets and suns with planets around them in this little universe here, and there's over 500 billion universes out there, so, or galaxies. So, I mean, the numbers are just astronomical. To even think that we're I can't even go there. It's so ridiculous.
Well, it seems at Assetti Ranch, which is out near Trout Lake in Washington, and near Mount Adams, seems to be a particular hotbed for this activity. Why do you think that is?
It's kind of interesting. We've actually photographed the mountain opening up. There's a major doorway in the mountain itself that opens up, and we have it on video. And we have ships coming in and out, and these beautiful light spheres on video. It's not just photographs where everybody's trying to discount orbs and things. And these light spheres are interacting with people and just blowing their heart open, and they're having incredible awakenings working with these light beings. But they're connected to the star nations as well. So there's some underground facility there, deep underground, just like Mount Shasta or some of these other places. And all of those facilities, because they've developed extreme technology with the light ships and the other things, that they've connected with the rest of the star nation. So it's all connected.
So you're saying when we talk about Mount Shasta or Mount Adams, Mount Shasta is definitely seen as a sacred site, and people talk about the Lemurians being connected with that energy. What does that mean to have them connected with the energy of the mountain or that place?
Well, there's places that hold a frequency, you might say. They're power spots or sacred places, and people can go there to activate their own memories within the soul. And so there are places that have maintained the consciousness. We've worked very hard to do that at the ranch, to keep the energy very clean there and maintain the highest consciousness and energy we can. And we have to do that actually to maintain contact, because these beings, they will drop down in frequency and work with us, but it's very painful for them when they're extremely telepathic and sensitive to be around us with all of our old wounds and aggression and trauma and frustrations. And I'm sure we give them an extreme headache, when
coming up from there. Well, we have a video clip that shows a formation of 3 ships that flew over, and so we're going to take a moment to look at that one.
All right.
Yeah, we got a triangle. You guys see it? Right there, laser's right there. Yeah. Wow. No, I think that is.
And so that's an interesting clip, because it shows the 3 lights moving against the starry sky, which I don't know how you would, do that otherwise, and it's such a precise formation. What do you think we're actually looking at?
Oh, yeah, and also, too, there's probably 40, 50 witnesses at the time that saw it. And there are these triangle ships. Some of these ships, you can actually see through them. They're interdimensional ships, and you can see the 3 points of lights as they're traveling. And they're coming from different systems, and we've also back-engineered some ourselves. But the ones that we filmed up there, we filmed some that have to be miles long. They're just enormous. And we've got several clips of the triangle ships flying over the ranch. And they'll make turns. People are trying to say, oh, it's 3 satellites tethered together, some NOS project. But we watch them stop, hover, sit there for hours, go back the other way, make right-angle turns, and turn over, actually, roll over, and things like that, which satellites don't do.
And so when you're watching these ships up in the sky, are you also connecting in on a more intuitive level? to the
Yes,
beings?
yes. What happens when the ships come in, everybody gets really excited and real giddy. It's a real giddy feeling when they come in. And that's how I know they're present, because you feel them first. And if you're sensitive, you'll feel this real loving, warm, like a warm fuzzy come over you, and you get real giddy. And that's how you know they're in the area. And also at night, the birds start singing and the coyotes start howling, and the animals pick up on it as well when they're in the area.
Sometimes I think when people think of alien life forms, they will think of it as, the evil green Martian with the little, little gun that they're going to shoot you. Have you encountered any energies that feel negative in that way, or has it been more loving?
Well, I'd say 99.9% of my encounters have all been very benevolent, very loving. They have different cultures, you might say, and different ways of interacting with people. And the mind in which you seek is the mind in which you connect. So if people are looking for the dark and the negative and the victim roles and all that stuff, that's what they experience, and that's where they're drawn to. But we take it higher. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I mean, there is a lot of darkness out there if you want to go looking for it. But we take it a level up, you might say, and work more on the more benevolent, very spiritually and technologically advanced ones, and the ones with emotions that are just like us, that are very loving, and they care deeply for humanity and the earth and where it's going.
So essentially, if you are going to connect with extraterrestrial beings, you're setting your intention that this is who you want to connect with.
Exactly. If you focus on love and joy and bliss and send that out with the intent of connecting with these beings, that's where you're going to go. That's what you're going to experience. But if you're really fearful, or if you have a victim consciousness, and you can draw to you not just ETs, but people, and animals and all kinds of events around you. It's all ties back into consciousness.
So if there were somebody here who's not in Mount Adams, but they're sitting, locally in their home, and they're excited about the prospect of connecting with a higher life form, what would they do in their own space to connect?
It's all about what they've told me. Is I asked them, I said, why are you here? Can you give me one reason, why you're here? And they said, to release the past. And I said, can you go a little deeper into that? And they said, it's your past that's creating your tomorrow. So we really have to heal our old wounds and traumas, our aggressive behavior, our anger and frustrations. And one of the lamas I studied with, he said, there's so few enlightened beings on this planet because it's so damn simple. And he said, you focus on love and joy and bliss until you become it. And when you make that your focus, they will find you, because you'll rise, your frequencies will rise, and eventually you'll be sending out a signal that you're ready for contact. So I think it's most important that we clean up our past and heal any wounds and traumas and wrong conclusions, and shift into what I call interdimensional mind, and then they're very easy to contact, because this body and this mind can go anywhere. It can jump dimensions and faster than the speed of light. Everybody thinks nothing can go faster than the speed of light, but thought's instantaneous. And so there is no time, distance, and space in that, and it goes far beyond the speed of light.
So it sounds like these beings are here to teach us to go deeper and to heal the past. They kind of feel a civilization or planet is a very terrible thing to waste, and we are wasting it, and we're wasting our consciousness and our planet, and it's time that we clean up our consciousness and clean up our environment, and because there are some severe reactions around the corner if we don't get busy, and they're here to kind of help us take the upward spiral in evolution and assist us in, cleaning up our consciousness, cleaning up our environment, and make it through what a lot of people talk about, is make it through the big shift that's coming up. And so what can these higher life forms teach us about getting through that shift?
There's a lot they can teach us. They've already transcended disease, and they've transcended all material lack. They've transcended war. They're extremely advanced. They've already gone through all the things and challenges that we've gone through. But they can't come in and do everything for us, because we gain the wisdom through experience. That's how we evolve. But if we choose to move in a more positive direction and drop the aggressive nature, and they'll come in and assist us. But they can help us out on every level, even with personal healing. It's amazing what they can do.
What are some of the tips, if you would, that you've gained from working directly with these enlightened beings?
It's quite interesting. A lot has been revealed to me about my own past and my own experiences, and a lot of things that I needed to heal and look at and clear up. Knowing how vast we really are, that we are them, that they are a part of us and we're a part of them, and they're working in the same medium we're working in, which is the vibrational continuum, or whatever you want to call it. There's all these levels of consciousness and energy out there, and they're working in that same arena we are. They're just working from a little higher level than we are. So
would that mean that we're all on the same evolutionary path together?
Yeah.
And so they might be just a couple steps ahead of us, coming back and saying, "Hey, come on."
Exactly. Some of them are. They're like, I call them like cheerleaders. They come in and they do dazzle duty. I love it because people
dazzle duty?
Yeah, people come to the ranch and they come in and they power up, and they'll swoop down and they power their ships up and light up the field and pulse everybody. You feel the energy, and then they'll turn right and go up and take off, and they call it, I think we call it dazzle duty, but they're like cheerleaders. They're little cosmic cheerleaders. They really want us to make it. They want us to heal and awaken, and they're very concerned about our environment, and they want us to clean up our environment and move forward, in our evolutionary process versus taking the downward spiral.
So do you think that's why now we've really started to shift our focus towards the environment more? Do they have some ideas that could help us right now to...
They are helping us quite a bit. People don't know how much they've done on our behalf, because they've actually blocked kill shots from the sun, like solar flares and coronal mass ejections, and NASA knows about this. They have the photographs of these massive ships parked between us and the sun, and all of a sudden they expand their fields and a big flare goes off and they'll stop it. So that's just one of the things. They've done a lot of cleanup on our behalf, but again, they can't do it all. We have to take the initiative and start moving forward, and when we do, as individuals and as a collective, and put pressure on our governments to say, hey, I want to live a thoroughly loving, joyous, abundant life. That's my divine right, and demand it and stand up for it. We're going to continue to be suppressed and controlled, and we're going to have this, manufactured lack and planned obsolescence and all this other nonsense we're under right now.
But it sounds like we can move forward in joy.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's no reason not to.
Yeah. Well, James, it has been so wonderful talking to you today about this, and I feel like we've really learned a lot.
Great.
So thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for having me on the show.
You're welcome. If you'd like to learn more about UFOs at our website, come visit us at newconnectionjournal.com. Join us next time on New Connection, where you can tune in and grow.